What's good, guys? Your boy Hugo the Savage back again for another review of Loki Season 2, Episode 5, Science slash Fiction. Hey man, hey listen, straight off I have to say, a couple minutes into this episode, even though I like the way it started, I had to lower my expectations from the last episode. Is that a bad thing? It's not a negative, it's just a thing. And that's just because the way the last episode finished, on a cliffhanger and such explosion, it looked like almost the timeline was ripped apart, and there was so much intrigue and wonder what's happened here. Yeah, I mean, is everything gone? Is everything reset? Is everything dead? So when you get into the next episode, you're expecting that dread straight away, and it didn't really start like that. What this episode did do, though, it explored I don't know how many of them, there's 5 of them maybe? Loki, Sylvie, B15, Casey, Ouroboros. There's about 5 or 6 of them. It explored their individual branch timelines. Now, not as a whole collective story, because it's only 48 minutes or so of an episode. So I do wish, as a negative, some of them spent a bit more time lived in. But at the same time, how much do I care about that character? Well, I don't care about Casey and B15 as much as everybody else, and they got less time spent on their character, so it's fine. But we still got to see them on their branch timeline and what they were doing previously. So I enjoyed that. Obviously, we finally got and it's not a spoiler, it's been in the trailer. We've been waiting for the Mobius jet ski hold tobacco since season 1 in the first episode. So we finally get that. I like the way they did it. It's so fun seeing Morbius's branch timeline, because it's been the one what's hidden the most, the one what he wouldn't look into. So this episode really was about almost being selfish and choosing yourself over the greater good, and that's what Loki had to struggle with in this episode. He was time slipping again in and out of different places, and people were fading away almost like Infinity War. When I've seen Infinity War, they turned into dust. In this one, they turned into like tapeworms, almost like string theory. What would happen if you went into a black hole? I think that's where they got the concept from. And he spent a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this? And I have to say, my favourite one of the going back in the timelines and speak, Ouroboros might be my favourite character. He's perfect in what he does. And he really helped Loki in this episode explore certain things. All the other ones he went to explain what was going on, they're just regular people in their timeline. So he does eventually work them round to working with him, but they don't understand. Whereas Ouroboros, as soon as he sees him, in his branch timeline, he was a scientist and an author, and he just believes him straight away because he's into science fiction. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's very centered around Loki, which I like. It is called Loki, and I feel like the rest of the episodes, there's not enough on him. I don't mind if it's Sylvie either, because technically Sylvie's a Loki as well. But I really like they did that, and this existential threat of what happens and what he should do, and kind of what I pitched from episode 2 in the season. He's finally got to a place where he has people with him who accept him for who he is, and he can be himself, and he's made new friends. And now trying to save these people and bring them out of their timeline to save the TVA is not about them and the TVA, it's about him. It's about him not being lonely. And he explains that in this, and he says, what do I do? Because we find out they're not really needed. It's all about him. So what do I do when everyone's gone? And it's kind of sad, because you're trying to figure out what's Loki going to do in the future. Like, what does he have? That Sylvie technically is not really... He's almost in love with himself, with Sylvie, but he doesn't have a family anymore. Thor's got his own life. Thor's damn near got an adopted daughter, isn't he? After that terrible movie. And his dad's dead, his mum's dead, and he's a frost giant, so kind of sad for Loki still. But once the whole thing was centered around him trying to master time slipping, because if he can master time slipping, he can go back in time. If he can go back in time, he can stop things happening before they happened. So that's what it's centered around. Eventually, he masters time slipping, and then it finishes. So the big question is, for me, Kang, Victor Timely, I think it was a plan. I think the demise of Victor Timely is the reason why Kang's going to come around, or who remains a new version. And I think it's been planned from the beginning. and it's a mind screw because He Who Remains told everyone in the first one, every step of the way you've done, it was all part of my plan. I knew this was going to happen. So now you're like, well, did Victor Timely die because of that, or did they get? It's going to be interesting, but we'll find out in the next episode. But I really enjoyed it. It felt like a transitional episode, though. It didn't feel lived in itself. It felt like we need this to get to the next one. I'm glad they didn't rush it. I'm glad they trusted the audience to spend a bit of time honing in on the characters. So I'm going to go 7 out of 10. I'm going to a strong 7 out of 10. I don't think it's greater than that. There wasn't much action in it at all. But it was a needed episode. So yeah. I mean, you boys have to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Hey, man, don't worry about the inmate beard, man. You know what I'm saying, bro? This is going to be an edit, man. Right.